Hi there, I'm Tara Kestner. Welcome to Next Level Yoga. Today we're going to have a little tutorial on what to do if you hate child's pose. So if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel, maybe give it a thumbs up, make a comment, let me know what other poses you don't really like, and maybe I can help you out with those as well. So I have a lot of people who come up to me at class and sheepishly say, hey, here's the thing, I know I'm supposed to love child's pose, but I really can't stand it. So it's cold comfort when a yoga instructor offers the advice, if you're struggling, just go to child's pose, because that's not exactly helpful. So I'm going to show you a couple of things that might help out if you're one of those people who secretly loathes child's pose. So to figure it out, we need to figure out what it is you don't like about it. In my experience, the people who don't like child's pose, by and large, it's because of the extension that you feel on the fronts of your ankles. People who run, people who play racket sports, people who play basketball have really tight ankles. They need to because of all the lateral movement that they have. So this is really painful for them. Now, it doesn't mean they don't need to work on it. We see a lot of heroes pose in their future, but to try to help them out with child's pose, what you can do is try to pad this area between the fronts of the ankles and the floor, so filling in that gap. Now, you can use a blanket or a towel, and what you're going to do with it is put it under the fronts of the ankles, keeping the knees fairly wide for whatever your hips want, and sometimes allowing that freedom, allowing the foot to come back in, will alleviate a lot of the pain that's coming up through the legs in child's pose. Now, what if you don't have a blanket or you don't have a towel? I have a couple suggestions. If you have a sweatshirt, if you came layered that day, shove that sweatshirt in there. That's not easy to say. Or your shoes will also work. If you're running and after a run you can take your shoes off, put them there, come into child's pose, because child's pose is really great for relieving a lot of tension in the low back after a run or, after anything strenuous that jars the lower body. But if you don't have any of those things available, here's my final hack. Come forward on your mat, reach back, roll your mat up, and then use that as the cushion between your ankles and the floor. So you're just basically filling in that space. And then taking the knees wide, shifting down in, and you might find that that's helpful. So that helps the bulk of my people out with it. I would say that probably gets about 65 to 70% of them. And the other large group I find that has trouble in child's pose are people who have either surgically repaired or replaced knees, and the deep flexion of child's pose is very painful for them. So once again, you're going to need to prop that up a little bit, but it can be done. You just take a towel or a blanket, and if you know you're that person because you already know that you have surgically repaired or restored knees, please come to class prepared, or be prepared where you can find something. And what you're going to do is you're going to take some of that flexion out of the knees by putting it right behind there, and also keeping some of the weight of the body off of the legs so that joint isn't struggling so much with a deep flexion. And then you might find that that's helpful for you. You can also put a pillow in there if you're at home. Looks a little silly, but it works. So that's going to cover probably 85 to 90% of the people's problems. One of those two hacks will work. You also have the people who have kind of sensitive knees. That's kind of a no-brainer. You're just going to pad the knees up. I rarely find that's the problem. But again, a quick hack, if you don't have a blanket or a towel at yoga class, take your mat, give it a little fold this way, and get a little extra padding under the knees if you're one of those people that has really sensitive knees. So we've covered if the ankle's the problem, if the knee flexion is the problem, sensitive knees, which is not very many of the people. The last people are the people who are really tight in their hips and low back. So for them, what I say to them is start with the knees wide, come onto your forearms, drop your head, allow that release in the cervical spine. You can keep your hips high and just move them back. Eventually, you're going to find that the hips will give way. It may not be the first time, but maybe closer to the end of class, the hips will come lower. But allow the hips to come up, dropping your head and staying up on your forearms instead of trying to drop all the way down to the mat will help with that. So I hope that helps if you're one of those people who secretly doesn't like child's pose. And don't be afraid, I hear it a lot. People are afraid to tell me that because they think that child's pose is a resting pose. So I hope that helps. If there's any other poses you'd like to see that you secretly hate to hear called out in yoga class, where you feel like everybody else in the class is loving it, please let me know in the comments and I'd be happy to give you whatever tips I have. So thanks so much for checking this video out. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, maybe subscribe to the channel. I would be eternally grateful. Namaste.